The president calls it a travesty of justice that a San Francisco jury found a 5 times deported Mexican man not guilty of murder.
It's hard to fathom that the death of my daughter on a pier.
Jose Inez Garcia Zarate was charged with killing Kate Steinle in 2015. This case stirred up a fierce national debate over illegal immigration.
It's been tough. It's been tough for me because I was there. You sit on the stand and you relive that moment, and it's not a good day.
Shock and outrage, to say the very least, flooding the country over the verdict in the Kate Steinle case. An illegal immigrant who was deported 5 times, found not guilty by a jury in the sanctuary city of San Francisco. Not guilty. Jackie Banez joins us now live with reaction that is reigniting a national debate. Good morning, Jackie.
Hey, good morning, Heather. Well, the verdict not only shocking but heartbreaking. The illegal immigrant responsible for Kate Steinle's death was found not guilty of murder and not guilty of involuntary manslaughter. Why? Because the defense claimed it was an accident, saying Jose Zarate didn't mean to shoot Steinle on a San Francisco pier back in 2015. Instead, the gun, which had been stolen from a Bureau of Land Management agent's car, went off by itself when he picked it up. Prosecution's argument? Zarate was playing his own version of Russian roulette, shooting Steinle, who was walking the pier with her father, on purpose.
The verdict that came in today was not one we were hoping for. This really is about the Steinle family. They've shown incredible resolve during this whole process, and our hearts go out to them.
Now, whether the gun went off by accident or on purpose, one thing is clear. The case is a symbol of a broken immigration system. At the time of the shooting, Zarate had 7 prior felony convictions and was wanted for his 6th deportation. But the sanctuary city refused to follow the law by not turning him over to ICE. Instead, releasing him back into the streets, allowing him to shoot and kill an innocent woman who died in her father's arms. Kate's brother telling a local station the system failed Kate from the start of the chain of events. President Trump calling the verdict disgraceful, tweeting this: "No wonder the people of our country are so angry with illegal immigration." Zarate's defense lawyer politicizing the verdict and accused of rubbing salt on the wound while taking a shot at President Trump. Listen.
Before you start tweeting or commenting on this outcome, just reflect on the fact that all of us get these protections. We get, a right to a jury. We get these burdens of proof, and we have to respect that a jury that spent this much time on this case, got it right.
Zarate was convicted of being a felon in possession of a firearm, which carries a sentence between 16 months and 3 years in prison. But immigration officials say they will deport Zarate back to Mexico for the 6th time. Heather?
Yeah, for a 6th time, so he can come back in for a 6th time.
Another victim is Kate Steinle, gunned down in the sanctuary city of San Francisco.
Kate Steinle was walking with her father on a San Francisco pier when the 32-year-old was shot in the back. Soon after, police arrested Jose Inez Garcia Zarate, an undocumented immigrant who'd been deported to Mexico 5 times. He'd recently been released from the San Francisco jail, but under sanctuary city policies, had not been turned over to immigration authorities.
Stunning verdict tonight.
Just astounding. But what did I say? Keep an eye on Matt Gonzalez. He is the chief of public defender here in San Francisco, was a running mate of Ralph Nader's in the 2008 election. This guy really knows his stuff. He put on a brilliant case because he said over and over again, this bullet ricocheted, and but for that ricochet, this bullet would have missed Kate Steinle by 78 feet. He claimed that he found the gun wrapped in a T-shirt under the bench, and also what Matt Gonzalez did was he showed surveillance tape, granted very grainy surveillance tape, of people who had gathered around that same bench on that pier about a half hour earlier, and he built the case that these people were acting suspiciously and possibly they left the gun there. What the jury did not hear was any testimony about Garcia Zarate's criminal record or the fact that he was a multiple felon and deportee. None of that came into this case. They only had the evidence to focus on, and it was almost all circumstantial. Again, no motive. He didn't know Kate Steinle. There were no eyewitnesses to this shooting. And again, this bullet ricocheted. So Matt Gonzalez, I think people are going to be talking about this case that he presented. He certainly made this defendant not into a scary illegal alien that had crossed into this country repeatedly and had a criminal record, but a sympathetic figure, a hapless transient who was homeless and on this pier and just happened to come across this gun. It'll be interesting to talk to the jurors, Martha, I'll tell you that.
Oh, boy, will it ever. It's pretty hard to imagine, you know, when you think about the fact that you can get involuntary manslaughter for hitting someone with your car, it's pretty astounding that you don't get involuntary manslaughter at the very least for firing a bullet from your gun that kills an innocent bystander.
When you have a broken heart and have grief in your life, if you've never had it, it's awful.
Here's a fact. 6 times, there's going to be a 6 deportation. They wouldn't hand him over to the federal government who had requested that they hand this man over. Did this sanctuary city law kill Kate Steinle?
Well, the illegal immigrant himself is the one who killed Kate Steinle. Certainly the sanctuary city policy allowed him to stay here, and I think that there will be a sea change in this. We saw it in Virginia with the race. Ralph Northam came out against sanctuary cities. I believe it was key in him winning that race.
Could you say without sanctuary cities, in all likelihood, Kate Steinle would be alive tonight?
Without the San Francisco sanctuary city policy and the way that people there, she was 32, 33 years old. Yes, I imagine she would be alive.
Borders are so porous that a man can sneak back in a 6th time or 7th time?
There are, but we know that we have a net outflow of the country.
So do you now want to build the border wall?
No, I will never want to build a border wall because it's ineffective. If you want to put more border agents there,
say that to Bibi Netanyahu. Bibi Netanyahu swears it has changed Israel. I've seen it up close.
Israel and the United States are very different. Our borders are different. Go with the gang of 8. I do not believe that. There are a number of Republicans who don't believe that. If you talk to Republican congressmen in Texas, they say that is not the case. You want to put more agents there, I'm fine with that.
Let me go to Tommy Lahren. Tommy, your thoughts?
Well, to answer Jessica's question there, physical barriers work, and that's why Democrats don't like them. But Democrats are going to be put in a very interesting situation now. They're going to have to choose between illegal immigrants and the American people. And I'm anxiously awaiting, the response of the Democratic Party, because I think it's going to really help us in 2020.
Dana, like you, I've been using firearms since I'm young. He said he was aiming this at a sea animal, and then it became I stepped on it, and then it did ricochet and hit Kate Steinle in the back. This particular Sig Sauer, it's not one that I fired. I was wondering if you have.
I have, and I thought what Dan Bongino said earlier was pretty spot on. I thought that the defense was moronic on this, and I realized that, Sean, that there are certain things that the jury saw that we, the people, didn't see. But I do find it interesting that the same people who want to look at ballistics and forensic reports as it concerns ballistics, they ignored that in the Mike Brown case. Look, and for the lawyer to also invoke Donald Trump and then falsely also say that there's there's an investigation that was based on Kremlin propaganda, which substantiated a FISA warrant, I thought was bizarre. This is moronic. People in California are not protected. The courts have said that there is no justice, no peace for the law-abiding. Those who break the law and enter illegally are given preference over law-abiding Americans. And California has now declared itself to be a dangerous state, Sean. California has decided that it wants to make it virtually impossible for law-abiding Americans to be able to choose their pro-choice right of self-defense, the feminist equalizer, a boomstick. But if you're an illegal alien and you are in that state being protected by it as a sanctuary state, well, then you're afforded all of the luxuries of American citizens, including rights that we have sacrificed for due process. And you're given a slap on the wrist that this wasn't even involuntary manslaughter is an affront to due process. It's an affront to justice and all the law-abiding citizens in California. This is shameful.
The system failed on so many different levels. If I'm President Trump tonight, I'm saying no federal dollars to any city, any state like California that says, and you just said to me, you agree. sanctuary city law wasn't in existence, this girl would likely be alive today. So my question is, why should the federal government give 1 penny to any city that doesn't want to obey the laws of this country?
I think that all sanctuary cities should cooperate with ICE officials.
And if they don't, should we not give them federal dollars?
That's a whole other debate, and I'm sure the president will be tweeting about this.
Give me a reason why we should. If I'm President Trump, I'm saying not a dime to these cities.
Well, there's a lot that money gets used for, that it's not just for sanctuary city policy.
Too bad. If you're going to allow criminals, 7-time felons.
Mayors in sanctuary cities all over this nation are paying attention to what happened today, and I believe they will change
I'm going to hold my breath.
Be more cooperative.
And that's not going to bring back Kate Steinle, is it?
No, it's not, and it's an absolute tragedy. We've been saying that from the beginning, but that doesn't mean that you're going to get the 11 million illegal immigrants who are here out of the country, that you're going to get rid of a policy that a number of Republicans have backed, including Rudy Giuliani, who said that we need to make sure that people can come out of the shadows to cooperate with law enforcement.
Let me go to Tommy.
Well, as someone that is actually residing in California right now, I can say as a young woman living in California, this sends a very clear message to me, and that is illegals are protected in this state and Americans are not. And these, I think that Jessica, her heart is probably in the right place, but anytime that you defend sanctuary cities, especially after this verdict has come out, I have to ask you, why would you still defend a policy that is harboring criminals? That's the end of the discussion. It's not, oh, there's a lot to look at here.
It's not the end of the discussion. When we have a national tragedy, and we have Dana on the panel, who's a firearms expert, when we have a mass shooting, we don't say we need to take away all the guns because someone misused
Liberals
it.
do all the time.
They don't say we take away all the guns. We want responsible gun reform. 94% of Americans want.
I have to interject.
Well, please.
You know, law-abiding Americans are always blamed for the actions of criminal thugs like Zarate, this individual who murdered Kate Steinle. Law-abiding Americans who are Second Amendment practitioners are constantly blamed for the actions of repeat offenders like this illegal alien. But yet when the illegal alien does it, oh, it was an accident. He meant to shoot a SEAL. If only law-abiding Americans got as much courtesy and were afforded that as much as this individual was, it's never going to happen. But now you can understand why so many law-abiding Americans are so disgruntled at this.
The outcome of this trial doesn't really change the fact that the system, both on a city and federal level, miserably failed in protecting Kate. The lack of accountability and change is what I find is the most disheartening and outrageous part of this entire thing. The failure on all levels is what led to her death, and I think they share as much blame, if not more, than Sanchez.